Welcome to the Rise to Shine podcast with Noelle Custis, where we ignite the spark to discover your favorite self. It is time to get real, ladies. Hello, and welcome to the Rise to Shine podcast. I'm your host, Noelle Custis, and I am so honored to be here with you today. We are just a couple of weeks into 2026, and before we dive in, I do want to take a moment just for you, just to be able to take a breath, let your shoulders just drop a little bit, let yourself settle in, because what I want to do today is give you this space, not more noise. I just want to give you this space for some nourishment. This isn't going to be a new year, new you kind of conversation. It's not going to be a ton of hype. It's not going to be pressure to pivot. No rush to reinvent yourself, because here is the truth that I'm learning. You don't have to be anywhere other than exactly where you are, because there is wisdom in any type of pause that you take. So there is power in a slower start if that is what you're choosing. There is deep clarity in the quiet corners of our own reflections. So if you are still in what I love to call the afterglow of the holidays, if you are still sipping your coffee a little slower and you're kind of moving through your days a little bit softer, maybe you even feel a little uncertainty. I've been hearing that a lot lately. I just want you to know that you're not behind. And this episode is going to really be a very gentle exhale. It's going to be a place where we get to just sit and reflect with some honesty. And it's going to be about what 2025 taught me, what I am choosing to leave behind, and what I'm actually intentionally bringing with me into this new year. And I promise that everything that I share today is going to hold a mirror up for you as well. We're going to talk about God winks. We're going to talk about boldness, about frequency and abundance, and we're going to talk about desire. And we're going to wrap it all in the energy of a very gentle reflection, because I believe that's how we actually find the clarity, not by pushing it, but just by noticing it, just by going, okay, you're here. I always used to tell my students in my classroom that noticing was taking notes in your mind. That's all it is, no judgment. And maybe you're like me, where in the past, I always felt like doing these reflections was a way for me to overanalyze everything. Like I wanted to fix everything, or I wanted to perfect something. And my default mode ended up being a way to overcorrect and to audit every single thing that I could have done better. A lot of judgment. And this year I chose to simply just observe it. And what I mean by that is just simply saying, well, that happened. Now I know. That stretched me. And now I trust myself more. That little shift softened my nervous system. It created a space and opened the door to even more clarity for myself. And I used to think that reflection had to be hard and gritty. Did you guys ever feel that way? Because this year I just asked myself simply, what wants to come with me and what doesn't match who I am becoming, who I am remembering. And that's what this episode is really about. Not just about looking back, but actually carrying forward. Not just what we're leaving behind, but what we're choosing to bring into 2026 with really open hearts with anchored energy. So, wherever you are, if you are maybe on a walk, maybe you're driving to work, you're folding laundry, maybe you're curled up to in a cozy little blanket. I just want to invite you to come with me into this moment. And we're going to just breathe, we're going to reflect, and we're going to rise into 2026 together. We're going to exhale into that. So, the first thing I wanted to talk to you guys about was boldness, because some of you know, if you've been around here for a while, my word for 2025 was bold. And let me tell you, I had no idea just how much that would stretch me. I did choose that word intentionally, but I also underestimated how many times I would have to re-choose it over and over again, not just in these big moments, but in a lot of quiet, small moments too. And I'm going to tell you one of the boldest things that I did last year was to say yes to filming an entire season of a brand new television show called Women Rising America. We are Women Rising Palm Springs. We we filmed about 17, I want to say it was 17 or 18 episodes. Um, but I have to tell you, they were super raw, super honest, incredibly moving conversations with some extraordinary women, some of which I knew and most I did not. And I say that this was one of the boldest moves because it was a choice for me to be seen for who I really am, to literally sit on couches among intelligent, strong, radiant, and very, very beautiful women. And it cracked something open in me. I became friends with these women. I was able to hold space for them and also allow myself to be held as well, to speak and to shine and to simply be. And that experience was absolutely so beautiful. It wasn't just about visibility or media. There was some healing that happened there. There was a lot that happened there within my own identity, and it was really powerful. And the reason why, most women would be like, oh, well, I don't know. I feel like it's 50-50. I talk to some women and they're like, no way, I would never do that. That would never be something I would want to do. It would never be something I would be brave enough to do. And then other women are like, oh my gosh, that would be amazing. What an amazing opportunity. And that's the way I looked at it. It was an amazing opportunity. But you guys, I did not, did not feel ready to be on camera and to be that vulnerable. And I had to go back to my word of the year and think about the word bold. I had to make a bold decision. And I knew that that decision was so important. And if I said no, I was so in my feels of knowing that inner knowing that I would regret it. Even if I didn't look perfect, even if I felt like I was a little fluffier than I would have liked to have been. I mean, talk about facing some of the hardest things, because that is one thing that is really hard for me. It always has been, to look in the mirror and be able to see myself. It's really hard. You guys, I have to tell you, just a quick little side note, even starting this podcast was terrifying. Not only because it has become such a big deal for me to be able to hear my voice on a regular basis. That's very weird for me. It was really hard at the beginning. Almost so much so that it prevented me from wanting to do this. But again, I did because I was like, I know I have things to share and I have to get over this. And that was the same with going on this television show. The premise of it was so important that I knew it was part of my legacy, whatever comes of it, right? So, the boldness didn't stop there because I also launched a new community where I live in 2025, my own community, not as a chapter director under someone else's umbrella, but as me, fully, authentically. No more hiding, no more waiting for permission, no more like, oh, I'm just doing it that way. It was kind of like a safety net. And it scared me, honestly. It really messed with me because boldness brings up all of the old stuff, the fear, the rejection, the insecurities about how I look, how I sound. Again, it all goes back to that, whether or not people will even come and be a part of it. And yet I did it anyway. And it showed up in the decisions I made about how I lead, about how I speak, about when I tell the uncomfortable truth instead of playing it safe. Ooh, that's big. And boldness isn't bravado. It's not loud. It's not about performing. It's about honoring the call. That's what it was about for me. It was about choosing to show up even when I was shaking, even when I was insecure. So if 2025 showed me anything, it's that boldness is a muscle. And the more you stretch it, the more it becomes your default posture. So I am carrying all of that with me into 2026 as a practice. And I just feel like it's helping me to anchor in my identity. And it's one that kind of makes space for all of me. And then we can talk about desire. That's a word that came up for me over and over again as I reflected on 2025. And I am not saying desire as in like the fluff desire. It's not the wanting of things for the sake of your ego. I'm talking about true, aligned desire being so divine. Because I believe with my whole heart, and I say this all the time, that the desires placed on our hearts aren't random. They're invitations to us. They are actually glimpses of what is possible. And I believe that these are nudges from God that say, this way, keep going, come on. But I'm going to also be honest with you because desire is not the end all be all. It's just the beginning. It's that spark that we talk about. It's the yes, it's the willingness. But I'm going to tell you that desire without action, it's just a dream. And if you're not aligned with it, it just becomes a whole lot of pressure. And the biggest thing that when I was reflecting, I was like, wow, desire without faith, if you're doing that without faith, it's going to crumble underneath the face of fear. And I just had my Exhale into 2026 workshop, and we talked about this. How desire is what gets you up in the morning, but it's not what gets you across the finish line because you need the energy, you need the faith, you need the frequency. And that's something I really began to understand this last year. Desire is what invites us into the next level, but it's our decision to honor that. That's what actually opens the door. And let's be real, for many of us, especially as midlife women, we've been taught to like really suppress our desires, to make them smaller or to water them down. But what if? What if 2026 is the year that you stop doing that? What if your desire isn't too much? What if it's the very thing that's meant to lead you into your next chapter? What if your desire is the proof that you're waking up to your purpose? So this is why I said at the beginning, this is going to be mirroring you, hopefully, because I want you to ask yourself, what are you desiring right now? How can you honor that? Not with the pressure, but with the presence of where you're at right now. Because when that desire is met with action, when it's wrapped up all in your faith, and when you're feeling really that aligned energy, that is when things start to move. That's when the clarity comes. That is when the miracles happen. So, yes, your desire matters. And yes, you do get to trust it. Because again, I believe it comes from somewhere, it comes from God. And no, you don't have to figure it all out to take the first step. You just have to say yes and start moving in it. So that is so bold, desire. And now we're going to talk about self care. So, self care is a journey that I have been on for years, but in 2025, it showed up kind of in a new light. So, I have always cared deeply for others. I can hold space, I can show up, I can pour out. And spiritually and emotionally, I also feel like I have grown immensely. And so this past year was a really beautiful expansion in all of those areas. But here's the truth: I had to notice where my physical self care was inconsistent. And not from a place of shame. So, wherever you were maybe inconsistent, wherever that was in your life, whether it be emotionally, spiritually, physically, I just want you to come from a place of awareness. And language matters here. So, I had to reframe how I talked to myself about it. Because in the past, my default might have been to criticize. Well, you didn't follow through or you weren't disciplined enough. But this year, I chose to speak a little differently to myself. I started to honor what I did do well. So I did come off of medication for fibromyalgia, something I had been on for quite some time. And I've been able to manage my pain without the medication. So that feels massive to me. And I recognize that that was worth celebrating. And instead of shaming myself for the parts that still feel hard, I'm simply noticing, just like I said earlier, not judgment, just love, just curiosity, and just a way of going, okay, that happened. These are the lessons that I learned from that. This is what I notice. No judgment. And I started to check in with myself in a really new way. I had a friend, someone I just really, really admire. She's another coach as well. And she shared something in a workshop recently that just really stuck with me. She said that every morning during her coffee time, she asks herself, how are you today? Not in this like casual, dismissive way, but in a way that you would speak to your really good friend. We all do that, right? So she starts to ask herself, well, how are you today? What are you feeling right now? Are you okay? And I thought, huh, so interesting. Why don't we do that for ourselves? We show up for everyone else. We ask, we listen, we offer love. I mean, I think about before my son goes off to school, all the questions I ask and, have a great day. And whatever, all the love bombs, right? And I started to think, wow, what if we did that for ourselves? When she mentioned that, it just really stood out to me. And that has started to shift quite a bit for me. And when it comes to physical care, let me say this loud and clear. The path to our desires is not paved with doing things we hate. especially with movement. There are hundreds of ways to move your body. Find what feels good, what feels fun, what makes you feel alive. I am done forcing myself into these rigid boxes. I'm done with the like all or nothing approach because in my opinion, true self-care isn't punishment. It's not a checklist. It's not about fitting into a box. It's a relationship. And in 2026, I want that relationship to be so rooted in kindness with myself. And I'm still learning. I'm still unfolding all of this. I'm still unpacking all of it. But I can already feel the shift just in the last couple of weeks from pressure to presence, from shame to self honoring. And that, my friend, that is where I'm starting to feel healing happen. And that's what I want for you too. And lastly, I got to talk about the God winks. And this is one of my favorite things in life. If you know me, you know the presence of what I call God winks. These little moments of confirmation, those little whispers, the things that make you pause and say, okay, that was not a coincidence. This past year, you guys, I experienced so many of these, and they often came in the most unexpected ways. It was wild. So it might be a text from someone that says exactly what I needed to hear. Sometimes it what came in a song lyric that brings literal tears to my eyes. It was clients telling me something I've secretly been praying about. It was crazy. There was a line in a book that felt like it was written just for me. And this is why I'm telling you that God winks, they don't show up in these really loud, flashy ways. They're really subtle. And oftentimes they're super gentle, but let me tell you, there is so much power in them. And what I love about them is they remind me that I'm not alone here. And maybe you've had some of these too, where you're like, whoa, that was like divine timing. Like everything in our body says, yes, 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 yes. This is the way. And this is why we have to slow down sometimes so we don't miss them. Because when we're constantly in hustle mode, when we're rushing and doing and proving, we actually lose, I think, the sensitivity to being able to hear those whispers, to be able to hear or see those winks. We miss the beauty of them and we override it and we don't notice. But here's the thing, when we're in receiving mode, when we're present, when we're open, and when we're still, this is why stillness is going to be big for me this year. We begin to notice more. So as we move through this year, I want you to pay attention. I want you to pay attention to those nudges. I want you to pay attention to the winks, the confirmations, the things that feel like God is just saying, yes, keep going, keep doing it. Because this is how we're going to stay in that high vibe frequency. And this is how we're going to build trust with ourselves. This is how we know we're on the right path, even when it is so stinking hard, because we're still going to have hard friends. We are. So pay attention because the more you notice, the more they start to come to you. And that's the really cool part. So, bringing it all together, here's what I'm leaving behind. So I am going to leave behind, and I want you to think about what are you going to leave behind? I'm going to be leaving behind the outdated belief that I need to be small in order for others to shine. That was a huge noticing for me. The self-judgment that creeps in when I don't do it perfectly or if I don't look perfect, I'm letting that go. I'm leaving it behind. The inconsistent care for my physical self that deserves more love and not criticism. I'm just going to leave that behind. The fear of, this is going to sound interesting to some, but it's also the fear of being too much for people. And the tendency to override my own inner knowing. I'm so good at that. And as I reflected, I noticed that. So here is what I'm going to be carrying forward. Those things I'm leaving behind. What I'm moving forward is my boldness, not as performance, but as a posture. It's going to be my new posture. My word of the year this year is abundance, and that is going to be in energy. It's going to be in creativity and faith, and yes, prosperity too. Abundance is going to be big in my life. I'm bringing that in this year. I am open. I'm actually like wide open for abundance. And I am going to be bringing in a deeper level of self-trust and a voice that reminds me to ask, how are you today? And to actually listen. And I want to notice all the God's winks. And also, in addition to that, the practice of moving at a pace that allows me to see them. Just getting quieter more often. So maybe for you, this list feels familiar. Maybe it feels good with you. Maybe there's parts of it. Maybe you've been holding some similar things. Maybe it's completely different, and that's okay too. But this is your permission slip to leave behind what doesn't serve you and carry forward what is calling you. Because the truth is, we don't need more resolutions, you guys. We need more just remembrance of who we are, of what matters, remembering the life that we're here to build. We're here for a purpose, you guys. So, as we wrap up this conversation today, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for sitting with me, for being a part of this moment, for being a part of this movement. There's so much I'm looking forward to this year, but more than anything, I am looking forward to walking it with you because I really believe that we're creating this beautiful, abundant, soul led life, not just in our goals, but in our days, how we walk the rhythm of our days. And on that note, I would love to invite you into something brand new that I have created for this season, for this year. And it is my brand new school community, and that's spelled SKOOL. School is a platform where you can have a community, and it's called the Shine House. We're going to open the Shine House on January 15th, and you are so welcome there. There is completely a free membership level, plus there'll be two other levels, one of which is going to be my signature mentorship experience, the Glow Up School. Talked about that a lot here. And that's going to be housed inside of there as well. So if you have been craving connection, more depth, more clarity, this is where you belong. We've got payment plans available for the Glow Up School, which starts on January 15th. And the doors are still open, so don't wait, you guys. Get in on this. You can check the show notes for the link to register. It is literally going to be so amazing. I am so excited. I hope to see you there in the Shine House. It's in some capacity. It's a new way to just connect. You don't have to wait in between, you know, each episode. You can really get poured into in this group and be a part of this community. And so I'm really, really excited for this. This is part of my new chapter. With all of that, my friends, So fun to be here with you today. Happy New Year officially. And until next time, keep rising, keep shining, and know that today is right here waiting for you. Your best day is right here waiting for you. All right, you guys, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Thanks for joining me here today. Your presence means the world to me. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider leaving a rating and review, and don't forget to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Head to the show notes and let's connect. Rise to Shine Co. is ready to support you in coaching, collaboration, life tips, or even a coffee chat. Until next time, keep shining, my friends.